At 5:30 a.m. on July 16, 1945, the Alamogordo bombing range sat in total darkness. A small group of scientists waited in the cold. They were preparing to detonate a complex plutonium implosion device. No one knew with absolute certainty if the mechanism would function, or if the resulting chain reaction would ignite the Earth's atmosphere. Then, the desert erupted. The device yielded 19 kilotons of explosive force, instantly turning night into day. The blast carved a crater 335 meters wide into the sand, sending a towering column of radioactive ash 35,000 feet into the sky. At base camp, observers passed around dark glass to shield their eyes. While some laughed and others cheered their success, the director of the project fell completely silent. Watching the fireball rise, J. Robert Oppenheimer recalled a line from Hindu scripture, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." He was a man who read poetry and studied Sanskrit. Yet his theoretical calculations had just materialized into the most lethal weapon ever constructed. Oppenheimer showed a high aptitude for academics from childhood. By the 1930s, he had established himself at the University of California, Berkeley, as an exceedingly versatile theoretical physicist, attracting a devoted following of students. During the Great Depression, he began organizing outside the laboratory. He held union meetings at home, donated to migrant farmers, and funded European refugees. But as European scientists discovered nuclear fission and intelligence suggested Nazi Germany was pursuing a bomb, Oppenheimer severed his ties with left-wing organizations to secure government clearance. Major General Leslie Groves recognized Oppenheimer's intellect. Despite intense opposition from security officers who viewed the scientist as impractical and politically compromised, Groves appointed him to lead the weapons program. Within months, the military constructed a secret laboratory isolated in the mountains of Los Alamos. Here, Oppenheimer gathered the world's leading physicists for an urgent, high-stakes development cycle. The fear of a German atomic weapon drove them. To beat the enemy, a man who had previously organized for labor rights dedicated his full capacity to building a military apparatus for the United States government. Nuclear fission relies on a single neutron splitting a heavy nucleus, releasing immense energy and more neutrons. To contain this, scientists engineered conventional explosives to compress a plutonium core, forcing an exponential chain reaction in a fraction of a second. Oppenheimer managed this sprawling, complex operation for 27 months, under direct orders to produce a functional weapon before the war concluded. In August 1945, the military deployed two bombs, a uranium device called Little Boy and a plutonium weapon known as Fat Man, over the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The combined detonations instantly flattened miles of urban infrastructure. Hundreds of thousands of civilians were killed by the immediate blast or subsequent radiation sickness. The study of atomic structure, once an open pursuit of natural laws, was now permanently tethered to mass destruction. After the Japanese surrender, Oppenheimer returned to civilian life as an icon. The public celebrated him as the father of the atomic bomb, and he took on an influential advisory role in Washington. His perspective shifted rapidly. Influenced heavily by his mentor Niels Bohr, Oppenheimer began urging the government to adopt policies of nuclear transparency, arguing it was the only way to prevent a catastrophic arms race of the Soviet Union. As chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission's General Advisory Committee, he openly opposed the development of the hydrogen bomb, a weapon designed to yield an explosion vastly larger than the devices dropped on Japan. His insistence on international regulation and restraint put him at direct odds with the military and political leaders who were eager to expand the American nuclear arsenal. This friction made him a target. Lewis Strauss, the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, deeply resented Oppenheimer's intellectual arrogance and his active resistance to expanding the nuclear program. Strauss saw an opportunity in the political climate of the 1950s. Leveraging the deep anti-communist paranoia of the era, he enlisted the FBI to dig up records of Oppenheimer's pre-war associations and union activities. In 1954, Oppenheimer was subjected to a closed-door security hearing. He was denied access to exculpatory evidence, while Strauss and his allies systematically used his past to attack his loyalty. The commission ultimately revoked his security clearance. President Eisenhower ordered a blank wall placed between Oppenheimer and all classified material, immediately stripping the scientist of his political influence. The national security state he had spent 3 years building to win a world war was ultimately used to silence his dissent. Oppenheimer spent his remaining years in academia before passing away in 1967. It wasn't until late 2022 that the Department of Energy formally vacated the 1954 decision, acknowledging the hearing was deeply flawed. He is remembered largely by the flash of light in the New Mexico desert, a moment where theory crossed over into terrifying reality. His life leaves behind an enduring contradiction. He was the brilliant architect who provided the means to end a global conflict, while simultaneously handing humanity the tools for its own erasure.